Hi everyone, my name is Sheil Worcester, and for this project I watched the film The Lunchbox, directed by Ritev Batra. So the story takes place in present-day India in the bustling city of Mumbai. One of the main characters is Ilya. She's a lonely housewife, desperate to reconnect with her career-focused husband, Rajiv. She creates these tantalizing lunches for him in hopes of receiving his recognition. So she prepares these lunches in their home kitchen, and then there's this system, this delivery system in India called Dabwala. It's a lunchbox delivery system, and they're responsible for delivering thousands of lunches to office workers. So one day they make a mistake and they deliver the meal that Ilya had prepared for her husband Rajiv instead to Sajan, a widowed, disgruntled office worker. So after the lunchbox was delivered back to Ilya spotless, Ilya decides to include a note with the lunchbox the following day as she suspects that Rajiv is not the one eating it, especially because after that first day, he made no mention of the meal she had made, nor does he mention the exact food that she had made that day for him. So this marks the start of Ilya and Sajan's friendship. And they continue to write notes back and forth, and they tuck them into the lunchbox. And so they never correct the Dabwala, the delivery system, and instead they just continue this. And so without ever meeting, they're able to share pieces of their lives with one another, their joys and their sorrows. So we're looking at the Lunchbox as a food film. So in this film, food is the conduit for connection throughout. We see that when, as Ilya attempts to reconnect with her husband, Rajiv. We also see that when Ilya and Sajan start talking, communicating with the notes. The characters use food to identify with their ethnicity. So throughout the film, we watch as Ilya prepares these wonderful, tantalizing meals. And these are definitely foods that are connected to this part of the world. We also see not only does the food, but also some of the settings are very specific to Mumbai, just these very busy, packed trains. As the Dabwalas are bringing food to the offices, delivering the lunches. It's just so much noise. There's just so much sensory stimulation. The film also explores traditional gender roles in the Indian culture through the preparation of food. So we definitely watch as Ilya is the stay-at-home mom, and she's the one expected to prepare this food for her husband. We also watch as this gender norm is almost fought when we see the men working in restaurants also preparing these foods, going against what is normally the traditional role. And then we also see the importance of community instated throughout. We watch as Ilya really relies on her mother, also on a neighbor to help her make these dishes. So the first theme that I'm going to explore is connection. A connection is formed when one is linked to another. In this case, the connection is formed through the lunches that Ilya prepares for Sajan. This is one of the main connections. And a few weeks ago, we listened to an interview with Adam Gopnik, and one of my favorite quotes from that interview was, "What is it that connects all of those changing tastes? What's the continuity that still brings us around the table in perpetuity? It isn't the thing that's on the table, it's the spirit that goes around it." that goes on around it. And I routinely came back to this quote, especially when I was applying it to this movie. And although the food that Ilya is preparing is wonderful and is a connection to her, it is also what has food allowed to happen? And food has been, this the conduit for the connection that is being made between Sajan and Ilya. They're able to pass these notes back and forth, and they really get to know each other. And at that point, while the food is still very important, it's allowed for them to connect on a different level. So Ilya prepares the lunches in her kitchen with the help and guidance from her neighbor, Auntie. So Auntie lives upstairs. We never see Auntie. We only hear her voice, but she does, she can, Ilya can call on her to get her opinion on something she's making because Auntie is so well versed in cooking that she can tell if something is done just by the smell of it. And if it needs something extra, she'll lower down maybe a couple hot peppers or a certain spice. Um, so the dabwalas, which are the lunch couriers, are part of the chain of connection as they deliver the lunches to the patrons. So they're this middleman. Sajan comes to look forward to the delivery of the lunchbox as he greatly enjoys Ilya's cooking. Um, we see throughout that um, his mood just improves consistently. The more and more he eats of the food, and obviously um, the more he connects with her through the letters that they write. He starts as being this disgruntled older gentleman who's lost his wife, he's lonely, to suddenly being a little lighter, and he gets excited about that. And it is Ilya's cooking that eventually helps Sajan befriend his new coworker, Shakish. And you can see at first his relationship with this new coworker is very strained, and it's almost like Sajan doesn't have time for him. And then throughout the movie, the film goes on, and Sajan, he just becomes a little lighter and happier, and he eventually starts sharing his lunch with this new coworker, and Shakish will bring a banana and an apple for them to both share, and then Sarjan will have this lunch that Ilya has prepared. So again, another opportunity for connection is happening between Sajan and this new coworker. The second theme that I explored was gender. And when we explored gender, I believe a couple weeks back, Mercedes, I took this quote from her as I thought it was definitely relevant to this theme. Gender is socially or culturally constructed. Gender rules and roles are not universal. Certain roles change as you move amongst cultures. So in this movie, Ilya plays the role of the traditional housewife, preparing the meals, washing the laundry, caring for her child. We watch as Ilya meticulously prepares the lunches rather than as being her work. It is seen more as her role. And her husband expects her to fill this role. And then in the very beginning of the movie, we see that before Sajan has received the lunches from Ilya, he's paying these male cooks to prepare his lunches. And in this instance, these cooks are working for pay and are essentially going against the traditional gender roles of their culture. It's not so much their role, it's just the work they do to survive. And then we also see Shakish, who is, just a reminder, is Sajan's new co-worker. There's a couple scenes where he is commuting home with Sajan, and he's preparing his dinner on the ride home, on the train home, and he packs a cutting board and all the all of the whatever it may be, peppers or onions, and he just chops them all up on his way home to save time. And there is a scene in the movie where him and his girlfriend are just laughing about, um, their roles in the kitchen and how he definitely plays a larger part. And again, going against the traditional gender roles um, of this place and of this time. So I would highly recommend this movie, The Lunchbox. I stumbled upon it when I was looking up different movies or books that I could use for this presentation, and I've really enjoyed it. And I think that it definitely encompasses a variety of the themes that we have studied this semester, and it's pretty wild to be suddenly um, maybe more aware of these different things, and then apply it to either a book or a film. I really enjoyed that piece of it. Um, so just in summary, the film The Lunchbox encompasses the variety of themes we studied this semester through the careful preparation of lunch and the delivery of it, thus acting as the conduit for connection between the characters. The vivid scenes of Ilya's kitchen in the bustling streets of Mumbai offer the audience a glimpse of a culture marked by traditions, stereotypes, and the power of cuisine.